and this is story time, so feel free to jump ahead in the video to see me actually replace it. But the gears on the John Deere started going bad. I've always had an issue with third. Third just didn't want to work. It seemed like it wouldn't catch. And first and then second went out, and I need those for the hill. And so the only three working gears I had were fourth and fifth, which were way too fast, especially on my hill, in reverse. So I decided to go ahead and open up the transmission, because honestly, that was my, like, what did I have to lose? So went ahead, took it off, opened it up, and I found that when you take it apart, and maybe I'll take it apart and show you, but it's almost like a four cross shaped pins, and what they do is they have a bevel at the end of them, so like a little triangle. So they all have a little triangle at the end of this cross, and what they do is they go into the gear and then they pop up, and then when you press them into a new gear, they go down and they pop up. And so what it seemed like was they weren't popping up into the gear. So let's say this is first gear, this is second gear, this is third gear. So you have this bevel going in, popping in, and then you push it to the next one. So what it seemed like, it wasn't popping up and basically connecting with that gear to make it rotate, at least for the first, second, and third. So I figured, hey, when I open this up, I'm going to see some worn out gears. And that was not the case. I did not see that. What I saw was basically that there was almost no grease on the shifter, which is why it was hard to shift in the first place. And then also, I saw no wear and tear. So I decided to take it apart further and look at that shifter, that can't think of the name of it, but I'll show it hopefully on this video. And what I did was I just bent them up a little bit more so that they would actually, pop. And I don't know if it was that or just me taking it apart and putting it back in, adding some grease to it. But lo and behold, it was shifting like a dream. Didn't have any issues. I put it all together. It's a pain getting this thing off and on. And I was riding around, saying hoorah to the wind, and about an hour goes by, and then all of a sudden, pop! And I see smoke at the back, which tells me that I used the wrong grease. I use white lithium, like WD-40 grease, this heavy stuff I use for my garage, and it said high temperature, metal to metal, but clearly you need something better than that. So don't make my mistake, because I had this whole thing fixed. So long story short is that I now have a locked up transmission, whereas it doesn't work at all. So one of the gears inside broke. So this is a 30-something-year-old lawnmower. John Deere wants about $1,500 for a new transmission. And it's not that I don't have the money, because it's just, should I just buy a new lawnmower at this point? And I put a lot of work into this lawnmower, and I don't feel right just throwing all that away. And I talked to an older guy, and he said his wisdom was, for me, was just to buy a new lawnmower and be happy. And I hear him, but if I can fix something, I want to fix it. And maybe it's the principle, or maybe it's because my wife's dad gave us this lawnmower. I don't know, but something's telling me just to try to fix it. So I'm gonna try to fix it. And lo and behold, I'll probably get another problem down the road. But I sunk too much time into this already. So rambling over, let's get to the actual bit. I've learned from my previous videos not to shake the camera, so I'm going to try to hold this as steady as I can without making you guys sick. So if you can see here, this is the new transmission I bought on eBay. I got it for about $200. That includes shipping. I could, and this is an alternative if you do have one of these lawnmowers, is just check Facebook Marketplace, and if you have a trailer, people will sell these things if they're not working for a couple $100. And you could probably just ask them, like, hey, the last time you used it, did it shift gears? And even if it like was broken some, you could take the two transmissions, take them apart, and replace the parts that are good in one and bad in the other. I mean, at this point, these things are getting so old, you know, you might as well just salvage what you can. So, regardless, I didn't have a trailer at the time, and I really want this thing to be working by next spring. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna buy a transmission off of eBay. So this is what I got. I know it's the same kind. Slow tip of the day: if your transmission locks up and you're in the middle of the yard and you need to get your lawnmower back to a garage or somewhere to work, what I did is just take this off, remove that key, and now this wheel, no matter what gear it's in, because mine won't shift gears, you can roll it on, and then you can roll it to wherever you need to go. So hopefully that helps. I don't know, when you're stressed out and you've been mowing all day and working on this thing, and sometimes you can't think clearly, so who knows. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show how to remove the transmission and then how to install another one. And this might not be the step-by-step way. This is just, I've taken this old one off 2 or 3 times when I was working on it, and now I got this new one on. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I've gotten this thing off and on by myself, and so hopefully this helps somebody. And if it doesn't, I don't care. If anything, this is just documenting work I've done on this damn lawnmower. So here we go. So step 1 is what I do is I just jack it up from this little hitch sticking out of the back, and then I put 2 these tire jacks, and the key to getting them both in is to, when this is jacked up, put that one, slide it through this side. So both of the tire jacks slide through the left side of the mower facing the front. Slide that first one in there, put that one down onto there, and then put this one in. I cannot get it in from the other side because the deck cuts this way towards the back tire on the other side, so it won't fit. But either way, what you want to do is, just like any other car, is jack it up much higher than you need the jacks. Align them with the frame, like so, and then set her down. And then now, take this down, move this bad boy back, and we can start taking this off. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of the tires, easiest part. And then we're going to go ahead and start get rid of some of the bolts that hold the transmission on. And the hardest part, putting it back on, is going to be your drive belt. Take the tire off. Now, you'll notice I'm gonna do this in 2 days because I'm gonna take my time on this. Take off the tire, you take off this little plastic cap, you just pull it off with your hand, and then you need a pair of snap pliers like this, and you will go in here, put those into the tiny hole, and you just go get it all like that. What I do is I put it all inside the cap. If you come off, there's also going to be a washer right here. It's going to come off. Oh, put that in there. You're going to put the camera down. Ta-da! Take the wheel off. Now, normally, you're gonna have to take this key. So what this key does is this key is what basically locks in. Get closer for you. Locks in here, and that key basically grabs the wheel and tells it to turn. So without this key, your wheels are just gonna keep turning. So do not lose this key. So it literally just goes in like that. All right. So what I do is I take this key and I put it in my little barrel of goodness right there. All right. And I already did the other side. So step 1 of removing the wheels is complete.
Okay, next step is you're going to take off these two nuts, and you're going to need a 13. So I just have a 13 and a adjustable wrench there. But really what you need to do is you want to unloosen the one from the bottom, because if you try it from the top, it's going to be a lot harder. So next tip of the day is buy one of these cool things, little magnets, and put everything you're working on in there so you don't lose any nuts or bolts. And when you're putting things on, if you have something left in here, you messed up. So same with this side. Got my socket right there. Also buy American made tools because this one's cheap. Likes to not work on me. And that's it. Hold the top, twist this one off. Alright, now that we got those bolts off, this one's still kind of stuck in there, but I'll wiggle it out here in a second. The next one there are these two frames. So you got this frame that comes down and it connects right here. So we're going to take this one off, but this is where it actually connects to the mower frame right here. And then we have a second one that basically is the same thing, and then we're going to disconnect this one right here. So that's going to be our next two bolts. But probably before we do those two, there's two basically auxiliary bolts or things that control the transmission or the things on the transmission. So you have the gear shifter right here. So I'll probably take this one off first so it's not hanging off of this. And that's going to be a bolt right here. Or you can take off this bolt. And if we go to the other side, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So this is the brake that comes in. It's connected to a cotter pin right here. So to get this off, you just pull this cotter pin out. And I believe that is the only thing still holding this thing in here. Alright, to maybe save you some time, I got a 7/16 on the inside of this bolt and a 13th wrench on this one. The end of this wrench kind of points towards this, which kind of gives me an easy way to kind of latch onto the back. And then as I hold this one, I push this one down, and that's what's loosening. I just do that a couple times, it should come out. Alright, got this one off. I just pulled it after I got it unscrewed. The reason why I took it off here instead of here like I usually do is because the transmission, let's go over here, transmission I bought came with it, so I figured I would just connect it via the way it came. I'll probably put something like my toolbox here to make sure this doesn't just fall off, or just have a ready hand ready. Okay, so this side, tackled it, zoom out, get back in, tackled the same way. I used a wrench. Could probably get down with a socket, but again, just flipped it over till I got some grip on it, like so, and pulled it towards me. And I know some of you are probably like, you don't need to tell me which way to turn it, but if you're dumb like me, it helps. And then this should just twist off. I'm not the best cameraman and worker on her, but anyways, got some long pliers, and I apologize, but I got it at the top. I'm yanking it up. There she goes, and that is one hell of a way to do it, but it worked for me. Now, take that washer off. We don't want to lose it. Disconnect the brake by pushing it away from us and out. Now this, disconnect it. Now, all we have to do is lift this son of a bitch out. So, pull my toolbox under here because this is going to be coming down as soon as I lift it up for those brackets. And this is going to be probably the biggest struggle. You still got your belt connected, but once you bring it up and over, it's just gonna get loose and you can come off. But really, that's kind of what's holding it right now. That and these two brackets, what's stopping it from coming down. So this is going to be a pain, but let's see if I can get it down in one shot. You can pop these out. Doug, do not forget to edit this correctly. Put this video in here. Pop these from this so you can get this off the frame. Put it in your bolt and nut thing. I don't know why the hell this one doesn't come out. There we go. That's one way to do it. And it's good to me. Alright, so like I said, I wiggled it up a couple times. It's sitting on my toolbox. The only thing holding it up right now is the belt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to kind of lift this, push it forward, and then get that belt off. So how did I get the belt off? The quick, easy, non-stupid way. So opposite of the left side, on the right side, you got a tension pulley, and you can basically pull the belt towards you. You'll hear that spring, and that will give you the leverage to basically get the belt off. And then once you grab that tension, it'll give you some slack, and you can basically just take it off. And then there's this bracket right here, and so see if I can get a better one. But you can pull down on this bracket. It's not connected, and then the belt goes over this bracket right here. And then once the bracket's off, you're basically loosey-goosey down here. So I'm gonna move the toolbox and hopefully get this off. So I was hoping that I might be able to open this up and find out what did it, but I don't think I have to. I think you can see right here something went wrong. That don't look good. So something definitely popped up. I think I'm gonna take the brake pads out of this one though, because they're probably newer. So yeah, got her off. Now I just gotta put the new one on. Like I said, I'm probably gonna take those brake pads. So comparing the two, this is my old one, and they are not the same. There are some subtle differences. For instance, you got this line right here. This one does not. The big one right here is a product of PEERLESS. Nothing. This is a product of Tecumseh, which is weird because it's the same emblem on the back. So this is how it would be on the mower, and like I said, this would shift it. Right now it's in neutral. See how I'm turning this, and these aren't turning. So if we shifted the gear, I don't know if you can see it, but that is slowly turning. I know it's really hard to see. Anyways, so this is actually really easy to shift. I just gotta hold it in place, so you can hear it clicking. And yeah. So looking in from the top, these things look almost identical. The serial numbers are so hard to read. I had to clean them off to see exactly what the type is. I'll do that tomorrow. But from the top, you wouldn't even notice that there are two different. It's only when you flip them over you can see the differences. But same shape and size, so I'm sure it'll work. Okay, so off camera, I replaced the brakes. This is the transmission I bought. Basically, this is how the brakes work. So the flywheel up here spins. This spins right here, and then there is two brake pads that are on each side of this. And then when you move the brake, it basically pushes this down, and if you see, there's two pins down in there. And don't worry, I have one taken apart, so I'll show you exactly how it looks like. Anyways, This pushes up against these pins. These pins push against a brake pad on this side, and then there's a brake pad that's stationary on this side, and that's what stops the wheel from turning. I replaced it because when I was doing this and testing the brake didn't seem like it was working even though I tightened it. I know my brakes on mine worked just fine, and I had newer brake pads, so I replaced them. So if we go over here, I'll go slow not to make anybody sick. This is what it looks like taken apart. I haven't decided if I want to keep this because I'm probably going to scrap this metal, but I might keep the brakes just in case I screwed something up. But like I said, so this is kind of how it looks like if we were to take it all apart. So the brake pad goes right here in this little slot. This goes on here like so, goes all the way back, and this has two pins right here. Right here, you can see that. Then inside here is a spring, right, that kind of pushes these two, and this is curved. You can see it like this. Anyways, this pushes those pins in, pushes this out. You have this little plate right here that's kind of like a holder. You actually see where the two pins kind of pressed against it. But anyways, all this does is hold a brake pad. So when you push this, pushes the brake pad out, which hits up against this one. Like I said, this one also has a brake pad right here. So that's what stops your lawnmower from moving. Now, to take this off, it's literally just these two screws right here. So take this off for a second. These two screws right here, you just hit both of those. If you have this attached and you have new brake pads and your brakes aren't working, all you need to do, most likely, is to tighten up this bolt. Once you tighten this bolt, what I usually do is I'll tighten it while I have this connected to the actual lawnmower. I'll tighten this until and I'll have it on neutral, and when it doesn't give any play, right, like the brakes are too far in, I ease them off a little bit, and then basically I'll just go up my hill and roll backwards and make sure the brakes, aren't too loosey-goosey. But that is my 101 on brakes and what I did when the camera wasn't rolling. So now you know. And I think I might keep these brakes just in case and not scrap them with the rest of the transmission that's broken. Here is the not so fun part of trying to get this one back on, and the hardest issue is getting this belt around here while you're trying to get that on. And I'm gonna have to use my toolbox to push it under there to help give you some leverage, because this isn't super heavy, but your arms will give out unless you've been doing some lifting endurance, because you have to hold it there as you're trying to get the belt on, and it's too much unless you have like 3 or 4 arms. So here we go. Here's the shit show. Let's do it. Interlude. All right, so I, through the grace of God and a miracle, got the belt on first. What I did was lifted it up with one hand and got the belt on, and now it's basically hanging, and I have to shimmy it up and basically get these first couple bolts in. This one right here, I probably should have disconnected it first. Crap. Well, anyways, I'm gonna have to disconnect this bolt because I'm stupid, and do the other side as well without trying to get this belt off. But as you can see, the toolbox on the transmission trick helps out a lot. Okay, so let's talk about it. It's not on all the way, but What I did was, at first, I put the belt back through the holder right here. I can't even think about it. It's basically a little belt frame. So I put the belt back through there, then I attached it to the transmission. So the transmission pulley is attached. Did that first. Held it up with my toolbox. Once I had that, I was able to basically align these first. And so I, shimmied this and got my first bolt in. Went to the other side, did the same thing. Went to this side, got this one in. Went to the other side, got the other 4 in. So I got these 4 in first. And now I'm working on the 2 frame ones. So I got the other frame one on first. This one was easier somehow. Now I'm working on this one. The problem was I put my jack too close to it. So as you can see, it was bumping up against it. So this is the last one. I'm going to try to get this one on here, and then hopefully that'll be the last of the bolts, and I can tighten these all down. Basically, the shifter that goes from 5th to rear wasn't lining up with the wheels. Like, for some reason when I was in reverse, it was in neutral. And that is because the shifter was not, this bar is not aligned right with what I have going on. So basically, to remedy this, I shifted it all the way to 5th, right? So this one's all the way back. You see how this will not go in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the screw off this so I can move this without shifting the gear since it's already in 5th, and put it in so it lines up. There you go. Bend it away. Then we grab this one. You also bend it. Go back to this one, the bottom, and bend it. That way the brake doesn't come off. Let's put the key. Don't know if you can see. Basically what you want to do, it's giving me tons of trouble. Come on. I'm gonna put the key in there like this. So when you match it up with that, right there where my finger is, you push it back, it goes up against the slope, keeps it in there. I don't know why, it's giving me so dang trouble on the other side. I don't know. I had bad luck on that side. Anyways, by the way, there's 2 washers in here that go at the end. Just thought I'd put that out there. If you don't have some of these snap ring pliers, you need to get some, because they are the tool for the job. There, make sure that's in its groove. The cap on, tires are turning. Okay, so after I adjusted the shifter, she's going into neutral when she should be going neutral. She's going to any of the gears. This is the final test. I have not tested this, so I might look like a fool. It's raining right now, so gonna have to just go back and forth in my garage. But let's try her out.